Sean and Joel, right? No, it was quorum.
As far as we know.
Okay, well, I guess we should call it to order because it's 6:35. We are on the screen, so. Calling to order the Open Space Advisory Committee for January 13th. This is Tricia Dunham, Chair.
Matt Morris.
Ken Lish, Vice Chair.
Allison James, Town Staff.
Sandy Pennington, Trustee Liaison.
Sean Samuelson. Late.
Until we have another member arrive, we don't have quorum, but we can get started. There's no one here for public comment, so we'll move that if anyone arrives and wants to discuss. Updates and look ahead.
The first update I have is for outdoor education, which I'm really excited about this year in 2016. I met with Ashley DeLopp, our wildlife ecologist, and pretty much firmed up our schedule except for a couple of things that I need to touch base with OSAC on. So we're going to have the coyote hike this weekend, which will be at Indiana and Colton at the basketball courts in Community Park, and it'll meet at 10 a.m. And then we have February 20th, 9 a.m. Winter Wildlife Walk, and that'll meet at the South Pool. I have April 30th for Arbor Day. She's going to have a booth there. May 21st at 9 a.m. beginning bird hike. And this is a little bit different because it'll be, you know, kind of those new to bird watching, but she'll still do her traditional overviews of the different types of birds. Then we have National Trails Day, and the official day is June 4th. We did do it last year on a Sunday, which would make it possibly June 5th.
I will say that the Sunday, I think, worked better for not conflicting with other events in town or surrounding. But we can definitely talk about that, you know, as we go forward.
Right. So we may want to definitely get to work on exactly which day we're going to have that occur. Then Jeff and Paige, right now, it's to be confirmed, but we're thinking June 17th as our primary choice if they have availability. She's talked to them and they haven't started booking that far yet, but we want to try to get that date if possible. Then we have the first one of a 2-program series for night hikes, which we had all talked about. And what we came up with was Nature at Night is kind of the name of the 2-part series. And the first one is a bat and owl night hike. And we decided to do it in August 19th, because if we did it in October during National Bat Week, the bats aren't out. It's October, it's too cold. So August we thought was a really good date, and we were also thinking about doing this one at Community Park because there's a lot of fauna, there's trees. You know, if we did it in open space up at the trailhead or something like that, they're not going to be out there because there's no trees, there's no, you know, you want the water for the bugs to draw them out in the evening, and hopefully we would see some bats and owls. And then we would do our bug hunt September 3rd, and then October 15th is the second of the Nature at Night series, and it's going to be on coyotes. And I can read you the little blurb that we came up with. Add the biology to the mystery of nature's song dogs, the adaptive and ever-present coyote. Join wildlife ecologist Ashley DeLopp for a nighttime hike to explore the nature and lore of coyotes at night and maybe get a glimpse of the successful suburban mesopredator. So one of the things that we thought would be interesting to integrate into it is maybe some myths about coyotes, you know, because it's at night, you have like a little bit of a story element. And the one for the Bats and Owl night is Nocturnal Flyers. Nature at night is a mysterious place where animals rely on different senses to adapt to living life after dark. Look for bats and owls and learn about their special abilities to survive in the darkest nights, and get ready for some nighttime wildlife watching. So that's pretty much the overview of what we came up with, and deleting the lecture during the week that was on a football night that, you know, we didn't have a large attendance the last 2 years, and kind of gave us a little bit of, instead of another bird walk, which we had been doing the 2 bird walks. Now we're only doing 1, but now we're doing the 2 night hikes with some specialization towards specific animals like the committee talked about.
How many programs are there per quarter then? I didn't get a pen until like 3 minutes
So there's
ago.
9 different.
So there's 9 total?
Mhm.
Okay. So
And I was going to put those dates up in the notes so you can
Okay.
review them.
I just want to make sure we have something going on per quarter, that's all.
It looks like, looks like it, because we have January, February, April, May, June, August, September, October. So we're really only missing November, December, so I think that.
Yeah, we
with
tried to
other-
spread them
With the
out.
holidays in there, I think you probably wouldn't get a lot of interest.
And we tried to spread them out to where, you know, approximately every month something was going to go on, or every other month we were going to have an educational program.
Have we already promoted this weekend's?
We have.
Yeah, a couple of times, and I think actually
few times, yeah.
it was good too, you got it on, there was a few emails on the listserv that were going back and forth, particularly about coyotes, and I saw that. I was just about to email you and say, Allison, maybe you should email out, and Allison was already on the ball and sent out that this walk was coming up, because a lot of people were asking or offering opinions on what the coyotes were doing.
And I also gave them the option, which if you look at, there was an e-blast and on the CAC regarding a educational webinar through the Humane Society Academy that I located. So I gave them I said, hey, here's what's going on. This is why there's some activity. Join us for our coyote hike, and check out this webinar so that, you know, you could have some more coyote information. So I made sure, you know, everybody had the information they needed.
Because they're out and about.
Yeah. And one other thing was during National Trails Day, we're still going to have the coyote information at the booth, but one aspect that we wanted to integrate, since the hike took a long time, everybody was really hot, you know, like the committee discussed from last year. And she was going to have a bunch of resources to learn about raptor IDing. So it'll kind of combine with the HawkQuest program. And so she'll have handouts on looking in the sky and figuring out what type of raptor is in the sky.
So these are the programs that she is doing. I know we talked about trying to reach out, or maybe having her reach out to that snake person.
Yeah, I think the last where we ended on that is that was something we were wanting to add for National Trails Day. One of the
Okay.
substitutes we could have for some of our events we were going to drop.
Okay,
All
right.
I think when we hit that next month or whenever
Yeah,
we talk
no,
about it, we
that
can
sounds
figure
good.
out
I
where to
just,
go.
it was in the
And
background.
the last question I have is regarding scheduling again, kind of like Jeff and Paige. I remember last year we had HawkQuest start at 10. The birds were really hot, and there was like a lot of concern around that, and maybe wanting to, as I remember, bump up the program. I didn't know how early because then there was also the debate of having to get out, get people out there early on a Sunday. So is there any?
Probably 9 o'clock would be the earliest, I would think, on a Sunday.
Well, that looks great. I think you guys came up with
Yeah.
a great program for the year.
So do you think 9 a.m., 9:30 a.m.?
I think that looks good, but I think we'll probably finalize that agenda close, like maybe, I think next month is typically when we started to put the agenda together and fill in all those slots.
Well,
Do we need to
the-
know sooner?
The problem is HawkQuest and booking them.
When do we
getting them
typically
on-
book it?
We usually book it as early as we can. Because if they, say for example, we wanted to take the June 5th slot, it is the day after National Trails Day, so, the sooner the better.
9:30 feels better to me.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say 9:30, because
Okay.
then if it's 9 a.m., then we need to be out there for 7:30. If we back it up, because we usually have to get there an hour early to get the tents all set up. And so I think 9:30 for them.
Do you mean the birds get hot when they're out?
Yeah, and they only have a van to store them in, and it's so hot in June, they can't leave them in this van that they bring the birds in, because it gets so
They
hot.
can't leave the air conditioner on?
Yeah, I don't. That was the,
But if we did them at 9:30, and then if we, as we finalize and think about getting like the snake guy at, maybe the snakes will do better at, 10:30 or something, a little later, that might work, that some folks who have already seen, because we've had HawkQuest, which I think is great and everyone loves it, but if they've seen them before, they might say, well, I won't do the 9:30, I'll wait a little bit. But folks who haven't will make. And then we always just run into folks just being there on the trailhead.
does the 5th sound?
Did you guys like the Sunday better than the Saturday? What was the thought? I mean, I just know we've run
I think
into
the
more
Su-
kids stuff on the Saturday.
You're right, we had the baseball, and then the
Touch a
other.
truck and
Yeah, touch
all
a
of
truck and all,
that.
yeah, baseball, yeah, I think Sunday is definitely a better,
I think that's what I would lean to as well.
Mhm.
I mean, that was one of our lessons learned. We realized that was a way better
didn't we
decision last
have
year.
more people this year too?
Yes, we
Yeah.
did.
So,
We did, definitely, I think, yeah. So, yeah, I think the Sunday, the 5th.
I was trying to look up Touch a Truck, but they don't have it up yet.
Well, it's also usually the farmer's market and things
Mhm.
going on in Louisville. There's definitely always baseball. There's always baseball for that weekend. Do we want to move on to Superior Town Center, the naturalized buffer area?
I have a couple of notes. The first one is that the developer will continue to work on the FDP to restore the buffer. And as soon as we have more information about that, I'll make sure it's available. And we also have, this was that environmental pre-construction notice that the town manager was discussing and at the last meeting. I could send this out to everybody. There's 36 pages, so.
That's on Cold Creek Corridor?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
This is,
This is more like the biological opinion. This is more information.
and is this what he was saying, kind of delineated the border for what was going to be considered the corridor from a construction standpoint? Is this what he was referring to?
Yes, this is, it kind of outlines that, like the history of the parcel. This was a cow pasture with, different types of fauna and noxious weeds and Russian olive and stuff like that, et cetera. So it kind of goes more in depth into like what's down there and the opinion of what's down there.
Do we have a time frame of when they're actually going to develop that area?
I don't have one at the moment, but the next note that I have is, there has been the work done on Second Avenue with the Coal Creek cleanup project down there. And maybe one place to start would be to meet in that area where that project has already occurred and, learn more information about it and see what's been done there. And, to better understand what type of process would be involved in doing what our goal is to execute.
Who is it that's doing the cleanup? I mean, is it the town? Is it?
It was the town, and it was a public works project, and it was
Urban drainage, right?
an urban drainage, and
That is a totally different project from Town Center. That it's a flood mitigation project. And so repeat for me what the work plan says in terms of Coal Creek corridor. Is it just a general reference to it? Because I thought we broadened.
Yes, it says under ongoing, continue to monitor the status and provide input on the Coal Creek corridor.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but we did broaden it beyond just thinking of town center,
Right.
with that we were talking about,
Right.
from when it comes in and
Well, I think what
goes
Ashley's,
through.
Allison's has a lot of merit in that you really do need to be aware of the whole corridor,
Yep.
and not just the town center portion of the corridor.
Yeah, is that project's not complete yet, right? Or is it complete, the one down on Second?
if they're not complete, I don't think they're far away. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's complete.
The last time I was
the
in that
bridge-
area,
The
it
bridge is
wasn't.
finished.
The bridge is
Second
finished.
Avenue Bridge is finished.
Okay.
But I don't think the mitigation project's finished yet.
So, maybe March is a good time to go down there? What's the best time to go down there, do we think? Is it like March, or is it February? Most of us, it's gonna be after work, so I think maybe a little later is better, because then it will still be
I can go
light
down.
out.
I can go down anytime.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not that hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about Autry
Well, I
Park
meant
too?
meeting
I
with
mean,
someone.
there was some work done over by Autry Park years ago that I'm assuming would be comparable to what's going on. I mean, it's right along the creek as well, right? So should we observe what's going on, what was done there as well?
That would be up to the committee. I was just thinking, since this was a very recent project, it
Mhm.
might be really easy to dive into the information, and it was just a thought.
No, I think it's a good one, so we understand what, a cleanup project was. I think your point is good, too. I've been down to Autry Park, actually, on a bird walk, and saw where they've sort of, folks don't go just because of the terrain and the natural, like the fence that they have there, but.
So would it be best to put a query out to the people who are actually completing the project right now and find out whether it'd be best for them to show it to us while they're still working on it, or whether it'd be better for them to show us a completed project?
Well, and it's also interesting to get out there during the rain season,
Yeah.
Yeah.
when you can actually see how the improvements in functionality.
Mhm.
Because they deepened it, they widened it,
Yeah.
they did channel mitigation so that it flows where it's supposed to flow.
Mhm.
And a major benefit of the whole thing to some homes in Original Town is taking them out of the floodplain.
Yes.
So it's a pretty significant project. And then, of course, how that ties into that Rogers property portion, and then Town Center. I would not expand it to Audrey at this point. I think you've got your hands pretty full with just this. And am I correct, it's Rock Creek and Audrey?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
No.
I think it is.
So Allison, can we reach, I guess since it's a public works project, can we reach out to who's heading it and ask those questions about, we'd like to go down and see it, and when is the best time, and is someone available to sort of walk us through all of the,
And I would also gather
Parts.
information and talk to some of the people that are involved
Thank
to, you know, just try to get information for us on maybe what would be useful going forward, especially in town center.
And maybe if it's a staff-oriented tour, maybe somebody can do it on a Saturday to where you guys are in daylight.
Mhm. Possibly. So yeah, if we can reach out to them and get the information and then start looking at a time, that would be great. Joel, do you want to just announce that you're here?
Sure. Joel White, board member.
Just to note, with Joel arriving, we do have a quorum now. There's nothing else on the Cold Creek corridor. We can go on to the support letter for the GOCO grant, if I'm saying that right.
So, just so the committee is aware, I did write another grant last week. It was a very expedited timeline. I started on New Year's Eve writing it. And reached out to Ken and Patricia to use our same GOCO support letter, exactly the same wording, just changing the date and the name of the grant for the same project, and nothing else was changed. So just so.
Do we know when we'll hear back? Or
March.
March, okay. And this is for the Eldorado K-8, I don't know.
School parcel park.
School parcel park, or school parcel park, they, yeah. Great. Okay, that, nice timing, Joel. That leads us to the leadership election. So, I don't know how we want to go about doing that, if people want to throw their hats in, or want to be nominated, or how folks want to do that.
Should we first see who's interested to see if we need to start doing forced nominations? I know we've had to do that in the past.
Yes, we have done that in the past. So up is both the chair and, I guess, vice chair positions. They go for a one-year term, though obviously you could go for more than that, but we vote every year. For duties, basically, I mean, it's running the meeting when you're here, working with Allison to come up with agenda items, reviewing notes, signing grants, because she's always writing grants.
Somebody's got to.
Yeah. You know, being, you know, well, all of us are on point to attend town meetings if possible, other events as possible. But that's basically, it's not too more strenuous, I guess, than what you currently do as a member.
How many hours would you say in addition to the meetings?
I don't know, it depends on the month or the week. I would say, you know, after a meeting, yeah, it's probably a few extra hours a month. Then some are more.
Communication, there's a lot of communication that goes back and forth.
Yeah. You know, calls, things like that, just, but we're getting better at it, so I would say that.
And-
We're getting, you know, much more efficient at it, I would say, in that, you know, and we involve both the chair and the vice chair on all the emails, so it helps that Allison's not waiting on one person.
And this year, there will be additional duties added that we haven't had before with working with ProStack
Yes.
on trail plans and that sort of thing. So that's kind of uncharted waters, but both committees have committed to doing that. So I don't know how long that's going to end up being extra.
I mean, yeah, probably a few extra hours in the time frame.
Well, for this year, I would not want to put my hat in the ring, knowing my schedule coming up. I wouldn't want to. I would want to do it right, and I'm not sure I could do that.
Anybody else?
I'd prefer to wait at least a year. I mean, this is third or fourth meeting. Yeah, I'm not sure I feel comfortable taking, any further duties, and I have a terrible schedule right now as well, so.
Could I renominate the two outstanding president and vice president that we have in place now?
If you wish to, Ken, I will ask you if you want to step into the president's role, and I'll step down to the vice president, or if you would rather stay where you're at.
I'm fine either way, and I am fine staying in one of these roles. I don't really mind which role, one way or the other. So, do you care?
I don't, it doesn't,
Well, do you
I
want to flip?
suppose it's easier for,
Ah.
to keep the name tags the same, but I'm fine
I
with.
can always order new name tags, whatever your heart desires.
You want to flip-flop this year?
Sure, so Ken can be chair, and I will be vice chair if folks want to.
It's good to have consistency, so I think that's a great idea. I second that.
Okay. Folks want to vote on that, I guess?
Yay or nay vote? So
Yay.
Yay for me.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
Yay, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yep. All right. Great. So Allison, we'll need new name tags.
Okay, I'll get them ordered.
Okay, discussion item number 4 is agenda items for the Q1 leadership with ProStack. So I don't know if we want to do that in addition of looking at their work plan against our work plan, how we want to best do that. Actually, if you want to do 4 first or 5 first.
I think we can do either one. Right now, we kind of, last meeting, I think at the meeting before, we'd kind of just been rambling stuff off. I went back and looked at my notes from those. We have the current stuff that's up on the work plan, so scheduling possible field presentation by BOCO and the Audubon Society with them, developing marketing strategy with them, and discussing the annual 5-year trails plan. And then, let's see, in addition, depending on how quickly we end up speaking with them, we might end up talking about any motions that we put towards the board for expedited trail creation. So I think that was all we had so far. So I guess the real question is, do we have anything else we would like to talk to them about?
From our meeting of last year, having the 4 is probably enough, and then just, letting it sort of naturally flow there as we got together and find out what their sort of's on their list as well.
So I had a couple notes besides what Ken has here. He's listed that are, potentially common items here. In ProStack's work plan, currently they have talking to OSAC about common interests in Q2. And I talked to Patrick about that, who's my director and the liaison to ProStack. And he discussed possibly moving that item into Q1 like we have it into ours. And then there was a couple other things that I thought may be valuable to add to ours. And one is in Q1, including something about Coyote Ridge Mountain Bike Trail, which we kind of discussed.
Yes.
I don't know if that's something the group is interested in, but they have it in their first quarter. And so if we wanted to collaborate on that in any way, we might want to put that into our first quarter.
You could make it 4D.
Yeah. And if folks don't know where Coyote Ridge Mountain Bike, that is open space that is behind South Pool,
Yeah.
in between the Yarrow and, those two neighborhoods. And that is open space.
Yeah.
Not all of it, that is, also runs into what's owned by Level 3 and some other things, but
Right.
there is that. And that is the sort of, that was a bike trail that was put in, but it's not, like many of the trails, there's maintenance.
Yeah, it suffered a
issues.
lot during the floods.
Yeah.
There's kind of two trails now, the one that was there that washed out and the one right next to it that people started going down.
Yep.
Oops. I feel so far away. Okay. And,
I'm happy to hear that Patrick's thinking about trying to move that up for them, just because for scheduling purposes, I think it's good to start as soon as we can, trying to look for a common time and be discussing things, because the time moves swiftly.
Why don't we have under 4 the acceleration of trail improvements with open space money? Where do we have that?
We didn't have that on there. That was just something that I think got briefly mentioned during a different topic last.
We've got in second quarter 1A, we've got potentially expedited.
Well,
Yeah, we have it under the budget recommendations.
Yeah, it's not in the pro stack discussion.
Well, I think it's something we've talked, I think it can also remain under 2017 if that's something we said we would look at it on a yearly basis. We've sort of recommended to the board of looking at it in this fiscal year, as well as something that would continue to be looked at, I think, in additional fiscal years, so it could probably remain in both. One, so I think you could copy that one.
do you want me to put this one?
So I think it should stay there and copy into the meeting with ProStack that, if we, ask the board to release funds or look at that, what would we do in this 2016 trail, in that 2016 work time? And then it should remain, because it's not as if I think it's something that the committee should look at each year. Is it something we continue, or something that we say, no, we're looking at that fund to do other things, like, or some properties might come up, or, more so than just the vague of, maybe they'll come on, the market, or come into a price that we like. That seems to be where we're at with the properties.
I thought I just moved it down.
I don't have my glasses, but it looks like.
So it should be expedited 2016 trail?
Yes, yeah, I just moved it, investigate down, and then added the.
Looks
Yeah.
like you shift all the numbers down.
Yeah, I'll move
Yeah.
it, I'll fix the numbers
But
later.
did you want that as 5, or did you want it as
No,
4?
it's
Yeah.
No.
E.
Yeah, we'll just move those.
I
I'll
think
fix
our,
the numbers when we.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think column C got a little bit jumbled.
So should that say 2016, or should it say 2017?
So E should be 2016.
Did you want B to be 20, this would be 2017 for the
17, yeah,
budget?
yeah.
Okay.
So this is, if we use funds, this is for this year, and what we would do in this, those months that you could do trail things, and then, looking at it again as a budget item. Excuse me.
Okay, so I just want to note that we have, first quarter is 3 months. We're already halfway through January, we got February, March. When were we planning to meet with the town board? Because if we're going to meet with ProStack first to discuss that before we talk with the town board, we'd want to do that sooner than later, because 2016 is going to slip away very quickly.
We have a meeting on tap, but we'll talk about that at number 8 for the joint board meeting agenda items.
I mean, even if we don't get a chance to actually sit down with the ProStack leadership before the board meeting, if we develop an idea of what we want to do with the expedited trail creation, we can certainly shoot that over to them via email. We've communicated with them that way before, and they've been fairly responsive, so we can at least make sure that they're aware of what we're trying to propose. If we run into time problems.
Yeah, normally, when we do meet with the board, it's like that end of January, beginning of February.
Right. That's why I was a little worried about
Yeah.
if we're going to discuss that with them, but we're also discussing with the board what the
Yeah.
order would be.
I mean, if we don't discuss with them before the board, I think we can just let the board know that we're, trying to work on collaboration and that,
And for number 4, meet with ProStack, is that the entire committees, or are we talking about just the chair and vice chair? What group are we?
So-
That should say leadership. ProStack leadership.
Yeah.
That was what got agreed to last year.
So OSAC leadership to meet with ProStack
ProStack
leadership?
leadership.
Okay, clarification's good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, good catch.
Then Allison, row 15 says Q1. I think that Q1 should go down to row 16, and then everything else should bump down 1. Yeah. Yep, that looks good.
Perfect.
And then you're going to adjust the numbering? Because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I will.
Okay.
All right. Allison, was there anything else that Patrick had comments on, or any other observations?
Not in Q1. Q2. That's in there together.
Yep.
This is in here together. Then Q3. They have due their recommendation
For
to BOCO in Q3. So if we want to move that into Q3,
Just the VOCO part? or
just the.
Just the BOCO,
Just the BOCO
yeah.
part, but we could start working on it in Q2 and collaborate and then make the final recommendation in the Q3 with them. But theirs does say recommend open space and trail priorities to Boulder County with OSAC, and that's in the Q3.
Yep.
Do you want to just do the same wording, but with ProStack?
Yeah, I think we could change the wording. It took us a long time. I don't know that it will take us as long as it did this year. We looked at the trail
Yeah.
a lot, so I don't know. I think that's why we moved it to the Q2, because we felt like we needed a few months. I don't know if folks feel that we need that same amount of time again to look at it, or if it can just move to the Q3. I know that there was a lot of feeling last year. A lot of folks were just trying to get, where were all the trails? What were, trying to just get ourselves educated about it to make recommendations, so.
I mean, unless some weather event changes the trails currently,
Yeah.
I don't see our priorities changing much.
No,
Yeah,
I don't
agree.
either, so I think that.
Just delete the second part of the Q2 one?
get rid of the and XXX.
Perfect.
And fourth quarter, there wasn't anything, and under their ongoing, they had worked with OSAC to conduct a trails survey.
Now, that was something that we brought up, I can't remember how many meetings ago it was, maybe 2, 3, maybe even 4. And as a group, I think we decided not to do a formal trail survey.
Mhm.
And instead, we thought it would be more valuable to continue doing the informal outreach at all of our community events, since we've been getting such successful information that way.
We did have something in our first quarter that was.
And that was also one of the reasons.
I think too, the other reason why we didn't want to go so formally, because we're not sure of what can really be done, even in our informal things, you know, the things people are asking about, some of it's across private land, some of it's outside of the town, you know, some of the trails that people bring up are
Yeah.
Boulder County, Louisville.
And there had even been discussion that about the actual mechanics of it, using the what is Engaged Superior, and how that had been watered down at times because there had been too much stuff that had put out there. Sandy, I think you brought that out. So now it's real selective about what we do, and just seeing how we already get all that valuable feedback, it might not be necessary to do this. So at this point, I'm not sure this is something OSAC wants to take on. So I think we'd probably just leave that off our list.
Yeah, and just do, again, the community engagement when we're out at events,
Yeah.
which we are hoping to commit to Arbor Day as well as July 4th and Chili Fest.
But is the general concept under, on item 4 way up in first quarter? You could put it as F there. Discuss possible joint outreach and marketing. Just
I think we have
something-
marketing up there, or so develop marketing strategy. So can we add it into that one?
Mhm.
Develop marketing strategy.
And outreach.
Yeah, and outreach.
Yeah, develop marketing and outreach strategy.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
I knew it was up there somewhere.
Allison, can you scroll back down to the yellow highlights that were there? So those were the other two things that jumped out at me that maybe we want to talk about from their work plan. So continue Superior Town Center Park Parcel and Town Plaza concept implementation. I'm not sure the Town Plaza is as meaningful to us, but the park parcels, I know we've wanted to have a good hand in, especially parcels 1 and 2, since they abut the Coal Creek corridor. Is this something we want to formally add on to our work plan, or at the very least in the ongoing write something to the effect of continue monitoring and participating in Superior Town Center development, or something
Yeah,
along
maybe
those
if we add
lines?
the, continue, yeah, just add that to saying, you know, town center development plans, you know, just.
Because we have the creek corridor up there, but we
Yeah.
just didn't have anything specifically to town center. And I remember that, I think for that one, we had town center written in there initially, and then we didn't want to limit ourselves, so we took it out. But now we don't have anything specifically saying
Could you
that,
put
so.
something under that though? Under ongoing 3, could you put A underneath that? Monitor progress of parks 1 and 2.
Well, I think
I wouldn't
it's-
even limit it to that.
I would say it's just, monitor and participate in town center development plan.
As pertains to open space.
Yeah, as pertain,
Yeah.
Yeah, as pertain,
Since that includes buffers and parks
Parks and,
I would expect those to get a lot of interest too.
Superior
Town center progress
as it
and
relates to
open space.
Consideration.
That sounds good. Yeah, I mean, it's really anything that comes up, like Sean says, anything that, we don't want to limit it just to the part, we really do want to look at, we want to be aware of the plans coming forth and do they,
So you're going to remember those?
how do they relate to open space? Because I think that's if we limit it to thinking, we only have to really look at the park one is when we could miss something that encroaches somewhere else
Yep.
that we'd want to be aware of.
Works for me. And then that third one that's mentioned there, that they have continued work on the town's wayfinding signage project as directed by the board. I didn't actually realize that they had taken on a wayfinding project. I know that was something that the Louisville OSAB
Right.
gave us that presentation
Yep.
on. And considering that so many of the trails and paths do go through the open space, it's probably something we want to have our hand into if it's, I mean, I don't know to the extent that this project has started, to the extent that it's being talked about. I mean, the Louisville one was millions and millions of dollars. I don't know if that's what we're picturing,
Yeah.
or
So,
if that's what ProStack
Is this
doing.
ProStack is actively working on the wayfinding? Is that what I'm to take away from that?
All I know is what that says, and that's what I took
Yeah.
as well. I didn't realize that that's what they were doing.
I don't think they're actively working on it, but I think they have discussed it.
I know, Allison, you mentioned there was some thought of replacing some of the wildlife signage that we did this,
This is different.
Yeah.
and this is different, yeah,
That
this
was
is.
more educational,
Yeah.
just about the geography and habitat areas, more like open space education was
Yeah.
what I was kind of talking about.
And did anything happen from that?
We talked about
or-
it at last meeting.
Yeah.
We just talked about it, and it was something I kind of threw out there as an opportunity for OSAC to maybe work with Ashley on to update the signs that are just, they're coming down,
Yeah.
just deteriorating.
So maybe what we could do is just plain add this to the discussion with ProStack. That way we can find out what they're doing and then
Yeah,
determine
to
what we
figure
want to
out,
do.
yeah.
That way we don't commit ourselves to something we have no idea what we're really committing ourselves to.
You could
That
even
sounds good.
potentially increase the scope by saying wayfinding and educational signs.
Yep.
Signage.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's put that in there, figure out what they're doing, and then if there's any opportunities. Because like you said, some of them are falling down and not doing as well.
I know, it's like new
You're killing me.
He's like, just change it, just change it. That's great.
Highlight, shift down.
I'm gonna give it to you, you better.
I'll take it if you want me to.
That's great. We can nominate Sean as our new secretary.
No.
Drop your pencil.
I think that was all I had for my notes for adjustments to the work plan.
Yeah, I was looking at one last thing, I just want to make sure. Did we decide to take off, because I'm not really seeing, so I'm reading it wrong. Okay, revisit previous. Of any of just our outreach with other, like Louisville's OSAB.
We have that up
Yeah,
there.
I
it's
think
up
it's
here somewhere
number-
still.
Yeah,
Number
I
one,
missed-
I think, is, if I'm
Move number
remembering.
3 up one line. Right there.
Oh,
we
no,
have it.
It might be third quarter, actually.
I could have swore we had it in the first quarter.
Shouldn't it go at that?
Because we were gonna decide, I think we were
It
gonna
was
It's a-
something,
assign committee members.
It's like this.
I wasn't seeing it on this one, but I thought we had it at one point.
Yeah, I saw.
Number 3, second, or, well, I don't know what it is, second quarter, it was number 3. Yeah, right there, revisit
Yeah.
previously identified open
Okay,
space.
so that's how we're calling it, okay.
I have a little blurb on this too. We received a memo. From Louisville. And they just sent it last week.
Mhm.
So they noted they met with you.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Allison, can you send this around after the meeting
Yeah.
as well?
I just thought it was a nice little.
No, that's
blurb,
definitely great.
And they kind of went over everything they did in the year and kind of reached out. Meeting after
April.
in April.
So kind of a tangent to this, does anyone know what's going on with Davidson Mesa as it relates to the trail coming through Superior?
No, I don't have any new information.
The underpass is built off Marshall Road,
Mhm.
is now open. I mean, it had been blocked off for months, but I went through last weekend, it's completely paved, ramps, it's open to the other side, so it does now have a connection to the 36 bikeway. But I've not seen any official opening of it. But they've removed all the barriers and everything, so.
Can we check in, Allison, with that? Can town check in to say if it's officially open? Because that might be a nice thing to blast out on one of the upcoming email blasts. If it's, you know, even if it doesn't get an official ribbon cutting.
I mean, the whole trail, the trail as a whole is not open, I know that.
Yeah.
But sections of it, I would think,
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah.
It's open to 88th completely, and then it's close but not officially open between 88th and McCaslin.
Yeah.
And then it's mostly complete to Boulder to Cherryville, but then past Cherryville, it's completely still under construction.
Dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they were just putting up the fence today, I noticed.
Yep.
So how are we feeling about the work plan?
I think it's, looks like a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it looks good.
I think we've got a lot on our plate and some good agenda items that are gonna come up in the next,
Should I take this out?
Yeah, I think you should take
that
out. I think we can take out that entire column that I added for when ProStack was doing those
Mhm.
common items. I don't think we need that in there anymore.
Mm-mm.
Yep.
It's good you did it, though.
Yeah. Um,
What were the rest of the rows that we had in there? Or columns, I mean?
They're just where I put in our meeting dates.
Okay.
mhm.
When we complete it, and
Mhm.
actually we can mark one off right there. You know, I just kind of try to keep this up to date throughout the year, and we can use it as a guide for our meetings to place agenda items and make sure that we're ticking off what we're doing, what we started, and what we've completed to kind of keep track of our work plan and try to keep us on track.
Great. So do we have to vote on that this is finalized? Okay. So I motion that we vote that it's finalized.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, so we have our 2016 work plan. Excellent.
And if it was okay, this XXX part,
Yeah, I would say take that out.
I'll just leave it.
I thought we got rid of the second half of that.
There was
Well,
two of them.
There's two of them.
There was in the second quarter, too.
The second quarter is just to discuss our 5-year, and then this is the official send it over.
Knocked out the next agenda item also. 2 birds, 1 stone.
So we're on item 6.
Yep.
Okay, trail construction, OSAC, we'll discuss the path forward for expedited trail construction. So,
Where we left it last month was Sandy recommended that when we meet with the board, because this will definitely be one of those topics, that we have something that we're ready to propose to them as an idea. The 2 ideas that got thrown out immediately were either a set budget amount, like we want to add another 250,000 or whatever it is, to see how much that'll get us, or if we want to propose a set number of trails, like if we're going to try to complete like a system of trails in a single area or something like that. So what we need to try to decide tonight is where we feel on this issue and what we want to present to the board when we meet with them. I think, so that was what we had said last meeting. I think 2 or 3 meetings ago before that, we were leaning towards the system
Set
idea.
trails,
Yeah.
1 through 7, or priorities 1 through 7, I think is what we had mentioned.
can you pull up that trail
Priority list.
priority list? Is it that one?
Yeah, no,
Do you have the map that had it prioritized? That actually might be,
Yeah, visual.
yeah. All right. So 1, 2.
I think this graphic shown on a screen at the dinner with the board would be useful,
Mhm.
because it graphically illustrates what you're trying to accomplish. And accompanied by the table
Well-
with the estimated costs.
And I can already see that we've got some change in there from what we had discussed, because number 3 is that viewing area over at
And we
Hodgson
took that
Harris,
off.
and we've already kind of moved away from that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I don't believe this is the latest, right? Number 1 doesn't look familiar either.
Does this turn these lights off, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think the
can't see very well.
leftmost. I think it's the leftmost.
Perfect.
yeah, because this one has it taken out.
We might not have actually updated that trail map afterwards. I don't recall. No, because the last time we updated that was prior to Chili Fest, and then we still got public comment and made our final recommendations afterwards. So I don't think we have a new updated map.
Yeah, I think we need the map
this. We need
updated.
this
Yeah.
spreadsheet to update the map.
Yeah.
Allison, how hard is it to update the map with the numbers?
It's not that hard, I just have to get into ARC and into the programs and,
If we could have that updated one for that town board meeting, that'd be.
yeah, I think this is.
I don't
right.
think these are the newest though, because look at the dates modified.
those are a year
They're
and a half
old.
ago.
Yeah. I know we had an email.
Trails map draft.
Ooh, that could be it. Ooh, post it. Ooh, that could be a winner.
Oh, that's
Okay.
right, we
You
did.
sent the numbers
It's
off.
off, and we did
That's
by
right.
letters, yeah.
Why did we do that?
That way we gave
So that people
a,
weren't seeing 1, 2, 3.
That was
Yeah, so they weren't
priority.
thinking this is the first, this is the, yeah.
Okay.
That was,
what was the one above it? Was that also, that was
That's
good
what
numbers.
that one, yeah, because we moved that one out.
2, 3. I think for the most part, though, so I know we also moved up Coyote Ridge, so this isn't completely updated. I think Coyote Ridge got moved up to like number 7 or something, and everything else got moved down on our final. But this is probably the closest we have to an updated map.
But the latest would be the spreadsheet, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah,
which was right around the October time, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have?
yeah, number 7, you're right.
Yep.
So then we talked about, like you said, did we want to say the top 7 trail plans, which I think we were leaning towards in the November meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Or did we want to say an amount?
Well, and I think our most convincing argument is if we can somehow show that we're building a system. That way it doesn't show like we're just haphazardly saying, do this one, this one, this one.
Right.
Yeah. And our
Um,
system, I thought, was coming
Coming
down
down
the.
McCaslin.
Coming down McCaslin.
McCaslin,
Very
and
easy.
then-
Yeah.
And that actually is played out, because, so if you look at number 2, number 3, and then I think 4 and 5 were up at the top,
Mm-hmm.
and then 6 and 7 were down towards the bottom. So there's our McCaslin system right there.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you a quick question? I've been meaning to ask this. Is there a reason why we don't have a connector right at this point here where it comes out? There's like a little access
Yeah, there's a
driveway
gate.
there. Right, I've used that, but I don't know, that's not official use. Is there a reason why we can't have a little connector there? Not a trailhead,
Well, that
of
would
course,
be
but.
county
just a-
land, right?
Yeah.
That's county.
That is county?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, the red line.
And then, isn't that the water thing where, I thought it
That would be
sort
on
of.
Yeah, the water-
No, no,
further
no, water's
north.
farther up.
Yeah.
You always get confused.
But I just know that's a nice access point there to get onto that system
Yeah.
instead of having to go all the way either down to the rotary or all the way up to,
I think
The
you
building,
should
office
keep
buildings.
prodding BOCO in your BOCO recommendations for that. You know, that's something that was actively worked on when we had all the, when the residents of the Ridge wanted the light put in.
Mhm.
They wanted that access too. You're talking about where that gate is?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think if you keep working on it, maybe it'll
Well,
be effective.
and it probably makes more sense once this purple parallel path to McCaslin comes in. Otherwise, you're going to have people trying to go across McCaslin.
that's what we had to do, yeah.
To get to the gravel crusher path on the other
Right.
side of McCaslin.
Right.
There's not, well, I mean, I guess there's a shoulder going up, you're going against traffic.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Allison, can you bring the spreadsheet back up? And let's see. So, number 4, Soft Trail Parallel McCaslin. Number 5, Colton Trailhead to Highway 128. Okay, so 1 through 4 on here is definitely part of that McCaslin system. So is 6.
Yep. And then 7 is where we moved up after we met with ProStack, that, you know, it definitely falls in that sort of maintenance of trails that existed before on open space that kind of been, since the flood, they got washed out and not maintained over there.
So is which one is number 5? Colton Trailhead, is that the one that goes across the private land and towards the bottom? Number 10?
Yeah, I believe so. So we've been talking about this since we were wearing short sleeves in these meetings. Should we recommend 1 through 5 or 1 through 6?
And that's where I was going with this. So should we recommend 1 through 6 and take out number 5 right now, since
And then,
that one is infinitely more complicated?
Are we actually looking at the right document here? Because that says 218 2015. So I'm a little confused as to why we're looking at something that's dated 2/18/2015.
Well, we were still working on it and
And so just
had
have
just
that re-
moved Coyote Ridge.
So we never updated
and-
the title,
Just
but.
not- okay. well.
Didn't our final version take out the years and stuff, though? I think this one's close to our final, but that might not be our final. Yes.
That looks better.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay, yeah, there it goes, because then we added it.
6 is Coyote Ridge.
6 is Coyote Ridge. Okay.
And then 5 is now Single Tree.
So if we could just take this, put the numbers on the map, put that in front of the board, say 1 through 7.
That's 57,000, right, for number 2? Not 5, okay.
Yeah, somebody who can read those, do a quick math and add your 20% or whatever to it and see where you are.
On the first
Here,
six.
you can do that through Excel. Hank, just.
Yeah, highlight them all.
Yeah.
Probably 300.
Look at the bottom right there, 434,000 right there.
500.
500.
So say 500,000 with the 20%,
Yeah.
so half.
Yeah.
So,
Times 0.122.
So we already have the two.
600,
We already have, what was it, 200,000 that the board has in the current budget? Is that
250. I think.
250?
250, that's in the current budget, and then this would be on top of.
So we're looking at another 250 we'd be recommending for them, potentially. But,
At least.
yeah.
That's unless the staff is recommending to the board something other than one of your two of your top 7 priorities.
Yeah.
Has staff provided recommendations yet? Do we know when staff is providing recommendations?
No, I don't know. But I suspect they know what they're going to recommend, so as the new chair, I think you should ask that.
So we talked about 1, and it's no longer in play, correct? I mean, it's a small amount compared to the rest, but.
Yeah, we're taking
We
one
want to make
out.
sure 1 gets pulled out before we present that, right?
Yeah.
So we want number 1 out, or we just want to say 2 through 7?
I think 1 should be moved to the bottom because at some point, we will want to put something like that in there when it's
When
more likely that,
reasonable.
yeah, reasonable or more likely that there's going to be something developed there, and then we work with the developer to create something
So
for
we
that.
can move number 1 down.
It shouldn't be eliminated, just move down to some later point in time when it's, makes sense. So, yeah.
Was this, I need to look at my notes to see if this was provided to the board, and if it already has been, then we might want to create another document. I mean, I don't know,
I'm pretty sure that it was still included when we provided our 5-year trail plan to the board.
I wouldn't doubt it.
so
Yeah.
maybe what we do is,
Make a working document for the 2017,
right,
Yeah.
or 2016?
Yeah.
No, 2017, that's right.
so what I'll do,
But what we're really looking at is like 2 through 7, 2 through 8,
Yep.
really as the priorities then.
Yeah.
And then, so I think on the map, we should do 2 through 7 or 2 through 8, present it to the
and
board.
so I'll move this all the way to the bottom.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I would move it to the bottom, because now we're dependent on BOCO on that, and then,
And then just. Oh.
Now, Sean has this automatic remembering thing, don't you, Sean?
I
Just
use
text it.
Excel a lot, so. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you drag it, I'm always afraid I'm gonna mess things up. but-
Oh, no, you won't.
You need to highlight 2 of them before you
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah, the 1 and 2 you highlight and then drag from there.
Just Control Z and then we'll get you back.
There you go.
Yep.
Perfect. Can we, so number 4, we have the single tree. Can we see which one that is on the map? So I'm. And then I think it's up at the top. So is that 14?
I'm confused why there's 2 lines off, those 2 white lines off of there.
Well, the white lines are the
They're existing regional, yeah.
There's not 2 trails there.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Well, one's probably the road, and one's probably the trail,
Yeah.
the dirt road.
Okay.
But I think you're right, 14 is number 4, Ken. I think that's the.
Okay. I mean, I think that might weaken our argument just because it looks a little bit more sporadic.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to anticipate how this conversation could go. I mean, if we say, hey, here's our idea to complete a system, we have great logic there, and it's understandable. If it looks like we're a little bit more sporadic, they're going to ask, okay, how'd you get to this? Did you get ProStack input? It's going to be more covering the bases to make sure that everybody agrees with whatever logic we do bring to the table. If it's a clear, concise system, it's an easier sell.
Mhm.
Again, I'd still like to make as many as we can, so I'm not against that, but I just want to make sure we're at least hitting all of those ones on McCaslin.
I guess another idea, that you might want to consider is, if you hire a firm to work on these trails as far as like staging and proximity, driving down costs and things like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're looking at the right trail, though. I think number 5 is
I think
what
it's
we're
number-
calling single tree to Cold
I do
Creek.
too. I think it's 5 because I can't imagine us straying from anything along McCaslin. I mean, bottom line, we want to do everything along McCaslin
Yeah.
first.
No, in that case, I
Maybe
like
you're
that.
right, I think I'm confused. That's behind
The-
Sagamore, right? 14's behind?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's over
Okay,
by
yes.
the, what do you call it?
The storage place.
Yeah,
Guardian?
no,
Whatever that other storage place is, I don't know the name of
yeah,
it.
well, maybe it is.
Ridge? Okay, I think you're right, it's 5,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah.
No, that's
I'm not
okay.
good at the aerial views of
Yeah.
figuring out where we're.
Because the north side of 5 is Cold Creek Regional.
I mean, that's by Shan Shan, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I
Okay,
think.
then perfect, that's.
So I think I think you're right, that's why we ended up moving that one up, because we kind of said, well, this is ridiculous that we would have this, and then not put
Yeah.
this one in.
Mhm.
So I think that for the cell, I think you're right, like that says, hey, this is McCaslin, and I think the Coyote Ridge goes in as far as saying, and then here's something that we worked with ProStack that we actually think will add a lot of value to our biking
Mhm.
residents of the town to maintain
Yep.
that trail,
Mhm.
do some maintenance on that trail.
So we've got 1, 2, 3 trails there going across McCaslin, or along McCaslin. 4, so 4 trails for one of the systems. Should we see what our next ones are to see how we can build that argument? Since Coyote Ridge is the next one, okay.
See, 6 on here is Fire Station Park,
Yep.
but it looks like 13 on the map.
Yeah, the map has to be, because that's down
Okay, so that's one we'd want in there.
So we did.
I thought that was being developed by the developer over there, isn't it?
Part of it, I think it is.
Not the whole thing?
Not
Just-
the whole thing, just part of it that goes across Calamante.
Well, yeah, this,
Okay.
so 6 and 13 in here, one is Calmonte to Colton, and then the other one is Fire Station Park. So maybe I'm not thinking of Fire Station Park correctly. So is 6 directly off the screen on the bottom? Okay.
This trail here is the one that's going to be developed by Cal.
Right.
Gotcha.
So I think we
So
have-
I think we do have that argument though for 1 through 7 then. Yeah, you're right. We're good.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we have this part coming down, then Coyote Ridge, and then if, you know, depending, like Sandy said, if they have numbers that are already as part of, you know, the first money, then there might be opportunity to look beyond 7, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But if we do, then we start into the next set, which is South McCaslin after the Colton Rotary, looking at, and it's the same thing, we sort of went down that same way and said, well, let's make these connections
Mm-hmm.
here. It's how we sort of ended up there at the end, right? We did get away from sort of, oh, go over to this section, go over to that
Mhm.
section.
Yeah.
Like, kind of
We're just
stay
trying to
together.
north-south,
Yeah.
west to east.
So 1 through 7?
Yep.
Yeah. Do we need to vote on a new trails plan, or are we just saying that this is our working plan now? I think we just say it's our working
Working.
plan. Okay, good.
And do we want to say anything about that little connector piece that we haven't labeled yet, where I pointed out before with Boulder County? Maybe just put a little note
Reminder
somewhere
at
in
the
the
bottom.
spreadsheet.
So note
Yeah.
in the spreadsheet that just says, investigate with BOCO.
Yeah.
Possibility of a connector
It's just,
at the.
it literally, it's, you know, making that gate accessible to the public. I mean, anyone can like climb over the gate or the chain, but
It require about 50 feet of trail.
if that, because
Or
right
let
now
us
it's that,
know-
it's a road. I mean,
Yeah.
it's literally a,
Or have them inform us of why they don't want people
using
on,
it.
using it.
I know
Like, I
that
think we have to.
They
you know,
use it as an access point when they have volunteer groups.
Yeah.
They'll drive vehicles in there,
It's a
so.
maintenance gate.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if they have a problem with
I can't imagine
potentially
they
people
would.
being on it, but.
Yeah.
I mean, it's another point of erosion, I guess, is the only thing, but if people use it heavily.
What do you want to call it?
Just say add gate.
At, maintenance.
Gate south of.
That one's Meadowlark Trail, right?
South
think so.
of the ridge.
The bridge, yeah.
Google Maps.
We on item number 7? Recommendation of OSAC will make a recommendation to the board about the future of the proposed trail on Coal Creek Crossing development.
Mhm.
So that's, so we had, the public came last meeting to give some updates, and we got,
Yeah, it's Meadowlark. Whatever that is.
that's the one, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, our official recommendation?
I know last month we all, I can't remember, was everybody here last month?
We didn't have a quorum
Okay.
last
We didn't
month.
have a
Right.
quorum that
Can
night.
we read what ProStack's recommendation was? Did you all read it? They had an official recommendation already.
Yep, I read it last week.
Because there's a prong to their recommendation that deals with the original town access element.
Is the trail coming off that cul-de-sac on the southwest? Is that what we're talking
It was
about?
like.
There we go.
It was one of the more or less parallel, the backside.
So no, it wasn't the cul-de-sac, it was actually part of Old Town. It was coming off
Yeah.
of, end of a road, street of Old
Mhm.
Town, and then paralleling a current.
I have a quick note on this discussion. If the east and west connection is removed, which was this connection from here over,
Mhm.
then ProStack may like a different alignment for this county trail. And they're going to be discussing it.
Next week.
Trail connection south.
So my concern is I had two concerns just thinking about it. One is, do we lose money from the developer making a trail, right, if we take it off? And then my other thought was, when I said to Allison, I think was about, will people make social trails across, I definitely understand the original town residents being concerned if there's some type of official sort of trailhead or things that people are gonna come in and be parking in the neighborhood. So I certainly understand their concerns. I was just wondering what our thoughts might be if we remove it. Will people just see an open area and just start making their own social trails across it? Like, I don't know if there's anything that the town wants to do about directing where people would go through that area.
Can we call the map back up?
Yeah,
Trish
well, so
can-
has everyone seen that bottom piece? So the ProStack saying that they'd like the developer to reevaluate the alignment of the north-south trail, and the committee would like the developer to explore a connection further east of the original alignment, moving the trail away from the existing original town properties and Superior self-storage facility. So with that said, now let's pull up the map and see where they're talking about.
So why do they need it at all? Okay, because if you go up to West Coal Creek Drive, go down that, there's an access point right there. I mean, it's literally just around the corner from that whole development. I don't think they even need that trail leading there. It's just a selling point to the people moving there, in my opinion.
I'm confused what ProStack's trying to say. They want to move that north-south trail to the east, but then they say away from Old Town. If it's going away from Old Town, then
Well,
that goes.
there's that storage.
Yeah.
I think it's away from the fencing of that area.
Of the storage facility.
So are they saying move it from the left side of this map to kind of like the middle of the map?
No. Can we enlarge on that connection, see what text is there? So Sean, do you have a pointer in a box in front of you? So where is it now where you can join?
So on Third and Thomas is.
So if you bring, well, I can show you if you bring up Google Maps, but basically,
It's way up to the left.
yeah, it's not even showing up on this very zoomed in view. But basically, up wherever the road is, up here, the road
Okay,
that
the
comes
road is-
off,
the road is
there's an
right
access
there.
point
Yeah, it's like
basically
right
right
over-
over here somewhere. Where the.
Off 76?
No, West Coal Creek Drive.
Yeah, the
It's-
dirt road.
It's the,
Because
it
Coal
changes
Creek
from.
is right there.
That's 76
So-
right there.
Right.
And then
So, yeah,
Coal Creek juts down. That's Coal Creek right there.
Oh, that
so.
still says Coal Creek on it?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so, right.
So down a bit, so over here, down in the corner.
Mhm. So literally, like, right, I don't know, yeah, somewhere over here. It's not that far down and around.
Do you want me to pull up Google Maps?
Yeah, would you? That'd be the easier thing. Plus, I would imagine that if once people start finding out about that, the people in that neighborhood and get a lot more, I don't know if they care, if they're gonna be getting a lot more traffic potentially coming through there, because that's another access point for people in Superior to go to get there, and they're gonna be parking in their cul-de-sacs and whatever else. I'm not sure they might not want that, so. You don't want directions. If you just,
Yeah, go to the one that says maps.google, 2 more down.
right there.
Yeah. There you go.
So here's Coal Creek. If you zoom in a little bit, this is it. Oops, right there is the access point. Boom. Here's the development over here. Here's the access point. All they gotta do is go up, come down, and there they go. And what they wanna do is shortcut that to here.
Here, okay. And then that's the storage.
And-
And that's the,
And
yeah,
then there's also an
Superior
access point
self-storage.
to the south.
Yes,
Not
there
much
is-
further than.
Right, over this way. you got the Third Street access point where a lot of people park. Which
It's a little
is-
further down, right there in that
Are
corner.
you talking that, Single Tree Trail?
there, yeah.
Trail
Right there,
area?
yeah,
Yeah, right
so
here,
over
right
where
here.
they had the mining.
Yeah.
So people can go over here, or they can go over here. And they're kind of right in the middle between 2 points.
And so what Original Town's thinking is if we add that more parking will fall into those Original Town streets.
Right, so you're gonna have the people coming from the playground up here, or the park up here, and they say, oh, well, let's go for a walk, instead of going down the road, et cetera, they're gonna come into this people's neighborhood to get to the access point.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I still think they should axe that.
And I'm okay with that too, if that's, I was just saying, if it's left as open space, would people just make social trails?
You mean that east?
That's-
if we got rid of it?
Yeah.
That's not a hospitable area for social trails?
No, I mean, these people
Well, I
have
didn't know how
homes
much it's
here.
gonna
and-
get cleaned up with the development, that's all, that was my only.
I was driving out there, looking at it a couple weeks ago, and anything beyond that
This-
last row of houses,
Right here, yeah.
yeah, that's still,
Very
that's not cleaned up at all. It's
no.
just very natural.
And people are not gonna be going around these people's houses to get there. I mean,
Yeah.
if they
Okay,
put up any
that's
fencing,
fine, yeah.
then I don't,
That was my only, you know.
and I don't know if they
concern
can,
that if-
yeah, no, it's very, yeah, open space.
Okay.
Well, you can certainly say that north-south connection does not appear necessary.
But the east-west is new as well, right?
Yeah, the whole
Well, the
thing.
east-west was the initial conversation, you know.
Yeah.
So I can't really tell where the east-west terminus is, like before it starts going north there. That, I mean, it has to come into Old Town.
On the right
Yeah,
side?
it comes
So-
right into the neighborhood.
So if you go back to Google Maps,
So would that be Charles Street that it intersects?
It is, Charles.
So-
It's Rick Kefner's property.
yes, so this is all West Charles in here. Let me zoom in.
And so it actually never hits Single Tree, does it?
Yeah, so this is West Charles here. So West Charles
The idea is that
disconnects
it
and
will.
recontinues there.
It'll cut all the way down through, and the north-south one will end up connecting to Single Tree.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it would end up being that you could come from the neighborhood south, or you could come across west and then connect down to Single Tree, right? That's
Or
sort of-
you could do just what Sean said and go to Third Street.
Yeah,
and-
Third or
and
right
do-
there
Do the
to,
trailhead.
Yeah.
Rick Kefner, who is owner of Bruno's Pizza there on the corner,
Mm.
appeared in front of the board and said he just believes it's going to be a parking nightmare
Mhm.
on that block.
Oh, without a doubt.
Charles.
Oh, yeah.
So he also, did not want the development across the Hake Ditch, which is a historical element of town. I haven't gone out there to see what the Hake Ditch looks like these days, but one of the trustees did. So,
Yeah, I mean, I agree that I don't think it serves much purpose than the small
Mm-mm.
number of people that are in those houses to shortcut a small distance to go from the southwest corner of Charles and whatever that North Street is that's in the construction to the Single Tree, but it's, I mean, a very minimal distance increased from going up and around.
Mhm.
Well, to me, the bigger discussion is, you know, the developer has this in their plans, and, you know, they kind of get away with not having to do any trail construction, right? Which they're probably
Well,
fine with.
They should
Well, I
redivert
think they're
that.
fine, or maybe not, because to Sean's point, were they having that as a selling point of access from the neighborhood to the
just to
trail system?
clarify, they are fine with not having to do anything.
Okay.
But,
that's fine.
but from an open space
The town
committee
manager has
standpoint,
had that conversation with them already, and they are fine, it saves them money.
Well,
But that doesn't mean you have to be fined.
right, I'd
You
rather
might-
them use that money to put trees, so we don't, people that are using the trails that are existing now don't have to see that big clump of houses. I mean, yeah, I mean, you want to preserve as much as you can, and
So do you want our
instead of putting it
recommendation
into a
to be
trail,
some type of landscaping?
plants, yeah,
And so
seriously.
instead of, we're
I don't know if the
recommending-
people moving into those homes want that, but I'm just saying.
Yeah,
you know,
there's
people-
quite a premium to live on that row.
Yeah,
Just for that
so-
reason.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
true. That won't happen.
Maybe not trees, but shrubbery that delineates, that says, don't
Some-
cut across.
something.
A wall.
So, I don't
Yeah.
know, yeah, I don't know, something
Um,
would be nice, some kind of landscaping to, so it's not just,
So, do we want our recommendation to be that we recommend they don't put a trail across
bottom line,
east-west or north-south,
any trails.
any trails into that open space?
That you believe the current trail system is adequate in both directions?
Yep,
Yeah.
Yeah,
in all directions.
and maybe we need to say that you can access the trail from West Coal Creek Drive
Yeah.
and from,
Which is, I don't know how far the distance it is from, you know, going up here to there,
It
but
can't
it's
be
gotta
a
be
tenth of
less.
a mile.
I was gonna say, it's gotta be less than half or a quarter of a mile, it's not that
Just say
far.
That'd be about a 5-minute walk.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt, you,
just to say in our.
Matt, you live somewhere up here, right, in
Mhm.
this
Yeah.
area? I
Yeah,
mean,
I
how-
walk
have
that.
you walked down to that access point?
Yeah, every weekend with my stroller.
So how long does it take you to get to that point?
Yeah, less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
So
from
we-
that stop sign there that goes towards the dirt road, I mean, it's
Is that West Coal?
maybe a tenth of a mile. I
Mm.
mean,
it's West Coal.
If,
Creek.
yeah.
I go through there quite a bit, and it's
So.
not a meaningful distance.
Mhm.
And
So our so we recommend that no trails be put on the property because there's adequate access via
Mhm.
West Coal Creek Drive and via
West Thomas?
West Thomas Street. That's the other
Mhm.
one, right?
Yes, right.
Yep.
So I have.
Isn't isn't that also known as like Depot Road or something?
I do think you're
I
right.
think it's also known as Depot Road for some reason.
It is.
Yeah.
Because that's the old train depot.
I never heard Thomas Street.
Yeah, that's a new
I
one to
haven't
me
either.
too.
Just the Third Avenue trailhead.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah,
knows
there you
what
go,
that is.
yeah.
There you go. That we feel and that,
So I have currently, the group recommends that the current trail system is adequate from both directions, including access points at West Coal Creek Drive and Third Avenue Trailhead.
Yes.
And the proposed trail should be eliminated.
in the proposed, both the east-west and north-south trails be eliminated. Those trails. Just to be clear that we're.
At Coal Creek Crossing.
Yeah, at Coal
the
Creek.
Coal Creek Crossing.
Yep.
And that we encourage the developer to add some type of naturalized landscaping to the
Low
south
level,
side.
yeah,
Low
low,
level.
low level,
Low level.
yeah.
Say that again? I'm sorry.
We encourage the developer to add.
Instead, to redirect their
To redirect
funds.
the funds.
To redirect their funds to low-level natural landscaping.
Like shrubbery.
Shrubbery.
Behind.
Low
Yeah,
level.
on the south side of the
we-
development.
The southmost houses.
Yeah, behind the southmost houses.
Low level vegetation? Low level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's
sure.
fine.
Yeah.
At the.
Along the south.
On the south side of the development.
Yeah, the south side.
Are they putting in fencing, do you know, behind all those homes? I'm assuming
No.
they
I
might
think
be.
just on the west, I don't think
Okay.
on the south.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't believe so.
You can find two.
I looked at the original
I think it-
plans like 2 years
Yeah.
ago, and I think they had it all the way around, but man,
You might need two
that was 2 years
sentences.
ago, and I've already looked at what they said
I've
then, and
got
I
two.
see lots of changes
Yeah,
from
I
what they
know, I had to
originally
break it
had.
down.
Yeah, because
I
it's a
just
lot
haven't
less
seen that.
densely.
Okay, I'm gonna read this to you guys one more time.
Yep.
The group recommends that the current trail system is adequate from both directions, including access points at West Coal Creek Drive and Third Avenue Trailhead. East, west, and north-south trails should our recommended, tell me where to go there. So east, west, and north-south trails be eliminated at the Coal Creek Crossing development, or that.
Recommend
Recommend that there be no.
not constructing any of the proposed trails.
Yeah.
Let's say, instead of the group, just say OSAC thinks the current trail system is adequate from both directions, including access points at West Coal Creek Drive and Third Avenue Trailhead,
So
period.
therefore, we recommend.
It feels the east, west, and north-south trails proposed, it feels the east, west, north-south trails proposed at the Coal Creek Crossing development are unnecessary
It should be eliminated.
and does not support them.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Period. The group OSAC encourages the developer to redirect any funding that would be used to build those trails to install low-level vegetation than to install low-level vegetation along the south side of the development.
Something like that. Sean can renumber, but I don't want to fly.
Okay, OSAC thinks the current trail system is adequate from both directions, including access points at West Coal Creek Drive and Third Avenue Trailhead. It feels the east, west, and north-south trails proposed at the Coal Creek Crossing development are unnecessary and does not support them. OSAC encourages the developer to redirect any funding that would be used to fund those trails to install low-level vegetation along the south side of the development.
That would have been used.
Allison, can you go back to the map of the development real quick? Okay. I'm good. I was trying to see if we'd want it to be more than just the southernmost perimeter, but on that west side, that's private property, so I'm not
Yeah,
sure
that's
adding
all
vegetation
storage,
means
yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
To the right side, that's
Well,
already,
you raise a very good point. One presumes they've built to the property line, right?
Mhm.
So they really don't have the ability to put low-level vegetation beyond their property line.
Yeah.
well, then how are they gonna build, I mean, whose property is that trail on? So that's gonna be a
It's
privately.
town property.
That's gonna be privately constructed trail on town property.
The same way as Calmonte was going to be a privately constructed trail.
So then,
This is why this never showed up on any of your trail plans.
Right.
Because the attitude had been that if it's done
Privately
with private
funded.
monies,
Mhm.
and where that falls short is you guys are missing then potentially critical elements of the entire system.
The only thing I can see the developer coming back and saying, well, is why can't we put a trail that skirts right along the property line of the storage people and the town land that is just a connector? Why, that's the only thing I can see them possibly coming back and saying, because they may still want to put some kind of very short connector in there, just so this neighborhood can have direct access to the trail that comes over the Mayhofer Trail.
They can do that despite your recommendation. I mean,
Yeah.
really, you just make your recommendation based on your beliefs and your thoughts. And if, the town board will mediate all that to say, well, it's fine.
Yeah, I
to do
mean,
this.
if they do that, then that does feed a little bit into the fear that people might try to make those natural, those social trails across. 'cause
I don't
they say, "Oh,
think you can walk that. I think
It's-
it's
it's-
marshy.
It is
and
very marshy.
mushy.
Yeah, it's a floodplain, I mean.
And
Yeah.
the town bought that. And I was not on the board at the time, but I was sat in the back of the room, and it's like, why are we paying this guy so much money for really undevelopable land? You know, because it probably would never have been developed anything, because it is mushy and marshy, and it'd have to be reclaimed and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know that it's a good spot for a natural social trail to develop.
Okay, good.
So Sandy, to address your point then, the difference between them already having the trails here and what we're proposing that they have the vegetation is that they already have approval to put these trails in, but they would then need to seek board approval if they decided to do the vegetation instead? Is that how the process would go, or?
Well, that's a good point, Ken. We do own that land. So maybe you just keep your recommendation the same way, and the point is if it would go through, what it will do is it will prompt the board to say, hey, are we going to let them off of, let's say that trail would have cost $150,000 to build.
Right.
It does prompt the thought that
Maybe we
that
should ask
money
them for some.
should go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we zoom into the south side of those homes just to see what the condition's supposed to be?
Can we have a current Google Earth to see how that's all panning out?
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
that's what is,
Yeah.
I don't know how
I don't think
recent
it's
this
not
is,
current.
but
There's no construction on the
Yeah,
latest
that's a pretty
Google
old
Earth.
Google Earth one.
other way.
To the right.
Yeah, yeah.
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 Oh, wait. how-
That's pretty old.
Mine actually shows buildings.
Well, this isn't that application, it's just.
Yeah, she didn't download that app,
Oh,
maybe?
That's strange.
yeah, mine's very different than yours.
Yeah, I've got,
You got nothing either?
no.
Huh.
I'm gonna go see.
I have houses. I
got
have a
houses.
few houses.
Yeah, he's got construction built.
It's very interesting.
Speaking of
This is
vegetation.
Google Earth is- oh, no, this is-
Speaking of vegetation being added, somehow we skipped over
So you can
Coal
see they're
Creek
gonna put a house
corridor
over
update. We went right from Town Center and then
Oh.
kind of talked about Coal Creek corridor, but I did have a couple of notes about it. So CDOT, through the US 36 project, impacted vegetation
connectors
along
already, don't they?
36.
Yeah, they sure do.
And they have to give us vegetation back to replace it according to
Oh, sorry, I
SB
meant,
40.
Scroll down, we can see the bottom of this.
And the vegetation has
I'm
to
just
remain
curious, like,
within the Coal Creek
what-
corridor. And so the plan is to place that vegetation in the riparian corridor in the town center, where that plan had already shown we had to enhance that area. And we
'Cause this
basically
whole
get
area
this
right
free
here is where the marshes
vegetation
is.
to replace what they ripped up in, on US 36. And so I had a quick
Okay.
visual for that too.
Perfect.
Nice.
Let's see.
Hmm. It is weird.
So that replacement vegetation would go into the Coal Creek corridor on the STC side, in the area where we had already planned, you know, had that vegetation enhancement plan. And they have to give us this material, and we have to put it within the riparian corridor. So
Is there a timeline for when this will happen?
probably sometime around March, in the spring, when planting can be, right.
And the area we're looking at here is just right across the
over
road,
there,
right?
yeah.
Right, McCaslin, here's the walk
The
underpass to
yeah.
Town Hall.
Yep.
Wow, I think they are putting the trail
So
in
that's on the
already.
north side of the creek.
Look, they got it coming down the backside, and it's right at the border right there.
Oh, wow.
And it was,
So one
that
there,
specific
one there.
area, there was supposed to be a water quality buffer between the trail and the creek.
Maybe a moot point.
I hope not. Wow.
Speaking of
They didn't
vegetation.
act fast enough.
Awesome.
I mean, they can't go beyond their property line, though, is the problem.
Sean, is there
That's a little
some way
strange,
you
though.
can hook that into? so
Yeah, I
we can
don't
see?
know. Allison, can I hook my
If
computer
you
over
do
here?
it right over there, I think, right?
Yeah, that's.
Or on that?
Much more
I think that
helpful.
is connected to
So
the terminals over there, I think.
I think we're okay. We really don't have to look at anything else.
Mine's much more updated.
No, but on this.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
you can
Yeah.
just, I think you could just unplug it here.
Yeah, and then.
One maybe
One is
tower.
for maybe for the screen and one is for the tower. I'm not sure if it'll work.
Is that all you had for that Cold Creek corridor then?
Mhm.
Okay. So just if you guys weren't here, and Allison, CDOT's giving us monies to do vegetation.
Well, if while Sean's working on that, you want to go to number 8?
Well, do we have a vote on that recommendation?
I think
Or
he wants to show it
us,
on there.
okay, so number
Circle
8.
back.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's move to
Because
number
it
8.
kind of looks like the trails may already be somewhat in place.
Okay.
So the meeting with the joint meeting for dinner with the board is on Monday, February 8th, from 6 to 6:45.
Monday, February 8th. From what time?
6 to 6:45.
I wonder why that is so short.
Yeah, that seems shorter than prior
Yeah,
years.
Let's ask that, I'd recommend you ask, maybe start at 5:30, because you're gonna want a little gathering time. Or-
They've always started at 5:30, I thought,
Yeah.
and then the official meeting time is 6. Maybe
Right.
that was it.
Oh, well,
like-
maybe let me
So I
check
thought
my-
we started at 5:30 last year, started with food, but then at 6, and then we needed 15 minutes to clean up,
Yeah,
to set up the room.
yeah, that's what
I think I have those notes still. I can go back and look at that.
But I'm pretty sure that there was the sort of,
yeah, nothing's more frustrating than for a trustee than to come up against a 7 o'clock meeting and have to just shut down.
yeah.
I'd rather sit there looking at each other for 10 minutes, you know.
So we had then for our, is the expedited, fund and trail building.
Yeah, we went 5:30 to 6:45 last year.
Well, one, you're gonna have to go through the work plan. I would suggest highlighting, focusing on the highlights of the 2016 work plan, and then segueing to your accelerated trail plan.
There we go.
There we go. Oops. All right.
Okay. So the work plan, the expedited funds, I think we should highlight, we can do that with the work plan, but highlight the collaboration with ProStack.
I think that's a good idea.
You can collapse that on the bottom too, over in the bottom right corner.
Another thing that we had mentioned last month is, and it goes with the oh no, we wanted to talk to them about our mission. Sandy, you said it would be important to get formal approval, or at least get their formal buy-in, because we've included in things. So not only do we want to touch base on that, but we also then want to get their buy-in for putting in our new mission and whatnot on the website. So that's also something
So-
we should add.
I would think then if we start with the mission and goals, then the work plan, highlighting the ProStack and then the expedited, that's probably the amount of time that we have. Leave the rest, the rest is, some of the things from the last 2 has been just then what the board wants to, what the trustees want to say back to us.
Mhm. if we need any filler in case we get through that, we can
You don't
always.
need filler. I think you're gonna have to really get to
Pare it
an
down.
expedited trail plan pretty quickly
Okay.
and not let the conversation go awry.
Yep.
Perfect.
You're going to have to manage the conversation.
I did find the email, and it is 6 to 6:45 or 6:50 in the board chambers.
I think we gotta go back.
Can
and
we
ask
push
for-
back and ask that, say, isn't dinner starting at 5:30? I think, from my feeling from the last time, it was that we started at 5:30, but that was get your dinner, sit down.
Yeah, I think we had like.
Chit chat, make connections, but it wasn't the official, I agree with you that the official meeting started at 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You only get to do this once a year. I think you need enough time.
So,
And so I have mission and goals, work plan, ProStack collaboration, and expedited trail building.
Yeah,
Is there anything else?
I don't think so.
that should do it.
That should do it.
Sean, can you move that up so you can see the trail more clearly on the
Yeah,
south?
sure. So here's the Mayhawker Trail as it exists here, where it connects here and over here to Third. And they want to, as you saw in the prior diagram, come down here and then kind of cut across here. Based on this picture, it looks like they have started developing some kind of, to their border, some kind of pathway, yeah.
So that's a,
Concrete pathway, it looks like even.
that's a concrete pan for drainage.
This is here?
Yeah.
That may be the Hake Ditch that had to be rerouted because of the development.
So that's not really a path that.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
our the sidewalk runs east-west. That's the only existing sidewalk, I believe. The one that splits the,
Mhm.
and then it keeps going to the east and it hits William Street. But what we're seeing north-south, I think, is that drainage pan.
Okay.
I'm more concerned with that bottom left area where it looks like they've already cleared quite a bit. Because the only thing they had in that area right there on their plan was the trail.
That might be part of what Trustee Pennington was also talking about in the ditch.
Oh,
I don't know there, if that's got anything to do with the ditch. Are you talking about the tan stuff? right
Yeah.
there? Yeah. I don't know what that is.
Because their land stops here, right? This is all town-owned property.
Yeah, I think.
It almost looks like a fence that kind of is jagged,
Mhm.
just to the south, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just dirt work.
I think that's that ditch.
Yeah, that's probably silk fence or something.
I have to go out there. I think we should all meet out there. But why that seems to have been cleared there. But Sean, you feel that despite the fact that the Single Tree Mayhawker Trail is, fairly far to the south, do you feel that adding plantings behind those southernmost houses would do some good?
I don't know. If nothing else, it might prevent people from trying to make social trails. It's just one more barrier, basically. It's kind of like what we're trying to do along Coal Creek here, by keeping people away from the Rabel Mouse by putting in these natural, low-level vegetation plantings, as well as providing habitat. That would potentially provide a habitat also for animals, as well as provide a little more buffer, and also you wouldn't see quite as much of those houses. Now granted, people, as Matt mentioned, they're paying a premium price to be abutting open space there. So I don't know that they would appreciate having any vegetation whatsoever planted there.
I mean, the real thing is the developer's saving a ton of money by not having to deal with,
He would,
with these
yes.
trails. So is there anything that we can?
But it is a selling point, so.
Yeah. Well,
but he just, all we'd have to do is reword his brochure.
Well, is there any, I mean, we have our recommendation that can be completely independent of all that. Is there anything that we want to change to our recommendation? I mean, I don't think seeing this here has changed my mind on anything.
I don't think it has either. I think we were just concerned that the,
Yeah.
what you were saying, which is the pan of the ditch, was somehow that they were making something just because you can see that it's concrete, so.
Yeah, it comes all the way down here.
But I think we should leave it, because to Sandy's point, that there might be things that the trustees, jingles their mind of saying, hey, well, wait a minute, yeah, you were gonna privately fund something, and maybe we want you to mitigate something around the ditch, or we want you to put in these plantings, or we want you to.
Or in fact, is this close enough to one of your trail objectives to ask them to repurpose that funding towards?
Our own trails that we.
Well, no, wasn't there a connection north of Sagamore that was important? And
There's one from Single Tree to Coal Creek.
Was that in the impossible connection? Because these people will benefit from any trail that goes north up to, the new underpass.
Up here.
So it doesn't have to be, in other words, your suggestion of repurposing funding doesn't have to be right there.
Right.
At Coal Creek Crossing. It could be something close enough that it also, adds value to that set of homeowners.
We're just adding a level of complexity with that, because then we have to get BOCO involved too, right? Because that's,
Yeah, that part would be BOCO.
Yeah.
If there would be anything, it might be that trail going down on McCaslin, the first one, on the other side, right? Is that
Or
number 5?
maybe,
Remove the one on this side,
Yeah,
and say,
yeah, yeah.
oh, well, what we'd like you to do is repurpose.
you could say, it says now to fund those trails to install low-level vegetation, redirect any funding that would have been used to fund those trails to install low-level vegetation along the south side of the development, or in another manner that augments the current trail system.
Yeah. We could say that and then have it be the board look for the recommendation. Not the recommend, but the board to look and say, oh,
That makes
that's a good
sense.
idea, like where do we think that might be helpful? And is it trail, or is it, I'm not saying that this to change the recommendation, but is it something that anyone's looking, because any kids in there would benefit from Founder's Park. Is there anything that needs to be mitigated at Founder's Park? Is another, if it's not necessarily a trail,
oh, yeah.
it could be an amenity in that area.
You could say that would augment the current trail or park system.
Yes, trailer parks, there you go.
Perfect.
With Prostack would like.
Yeah, but I mean, thinking, because that neighborhood,
together.
Well,
neighborhood
yes,
would use that park
Because that park could
extensively.
use $150,000 worth of trees.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that might be where they would, because that's right across the street. Those people will be using that park
Mhm.
if they have, actually, you wouldn't even necessarily need to, because there are nice places to sit and read, but if there was trees and shading and some wind blocking,
Yeah, that's a good
that
idea.
improves that park.
Yep.
Why did they install, Sandy, why did they install these trails? Instead of making this a nice open space area, why did they put those in?
They didn't want it programmed, they wanted to break up the fielding, right?
Why?
None,
I thought they wanted no programming on
yes,
that.
she's correct. A vocal, small segment deliberately did that because they did not want it to be a big field that would attract. At a certain point in the history of this, outside Frisbee groups and outside, these were non-Superior, had taken over the west side.
No.
And they didn't want those groups to take over the east side.
And so this is the result, and I've heard a lot of criticism of it, and frankly agree that you don't unnecessarily cut up a nice flat swath of land. And so, that recommendation may come forth sooner rather than later to remove those crusher fine trails and just seed it over.
It's
Well,
not
now,
concrete.
now we've recommended that you get some money from that developer. So maybe that helps that.
Yeah.
Fund any projects. But that is definitely, but I also think that that's a amenity that that neighborhood will use
Yep.
Yeah.
extensively.
Without a
you
doubt.
know.
Which is a huge
Yeah, so,
benefit.
Well,
You might take the word current out of that, guys, and just say the Superior Trail, the trail augments our trail or park system.
Because it may be the word current is a little limiting.
Yep.
Superior.
That augments Superior's trail, Superior's trail or
And-
park system.
Yes.
I think the tree idea is an excellent one.
yeah, the tree is good too, because it does need some good trees. And they planted some nice
They
ones
did it around the perimeter.
on last Arbor Day.
And Arbor Day will be held again at that park.
Park,
So
nice.
keep in mind, wherever Arbor Day is held is typically one of the newest parks where we can augment the trees.
Do you want to read that back, Allison, or we can
Sure.
vote on it?
OSAC thinks the current trail system is adequate from both directions, including access points at West Coal Creek Drive and 3rd Avenue Trailhead. It feels the east-west and north-south trails proposed at the Coal Creek Crossing development are unnecessary and does not support them. OSAC encourages the developer to redirect any funding that would have been used to fund those trails to install low-level vegetation along the south side of the development or in another manner that augments Superior's trail or park systems.
Good.
You have a motion to vote on that?
I move to approve the recommendation as written.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous, Allison, so. That closes out that item, and then we've already done the agenda for number 8, so.
Quick
there's-
question on that one.
Yeah.
Allison, is it you who will reach out to somebody to try to make that meeting with the town board longer, or is that us?
Sure, I can do it.
Okay,
It's up to you.
I'll also do it.
Yeah.
okay, perfect. We'll leave that in your guys' capable hands then. That was all I had.
Yep, that's all I had, so, anything else, guys? No?
Nothing else?
A
from
big
me?
thank you, Trish, for
Thank you.
all of your chairmanship efforts.
Oh, thank you.
Chairpersonship efforts.
Yep, you're back up.
Yep, and then happily hand the reins over to Ken. You can do that. And with that, we'll adjourn.
Perfect.
Just a note for everyone that stays on until 9 o'clock. Because Mike's running.
Jim, say hi to Jim. Hi, Jim.
And they should know that isn't it Oregon State and Buffs game is on ESPNU at 9.
Oh, nice.
See,
And if anybody wants my tickets to go to the game, you can have them.
I'm missing the rivalry game tonight.
The what?
The rivalry game, Oklahoma State and Oklahoma.
Oh.
Where are you from?
Oklahoma State.
Well, that's where Road South, Kansas is from.
Yes, I'm very well aware of that.
I have 2 degrees from KU, and my husband has 2 degrees from Kansas State.
Oh, really? That's where my father-in-law went to school.
Hey, Sandy, just out of curiosity, do you have any updates or any idea when this is going to be?
They're doing it today.
Really?
They're really hoping to be operational, one very soon, on some of their sheets of ice, but end of March. Yeah.
They're charging people already for his team, his daughter's team is playing over there.
On the turf, on the new turf field?
Yep.
Well, the turf is lined there in rolls, and they said it will be done by like Tuesday next week. So, there's lots of work still left to be done, but they're gonna have this partial opening.
Thank you guys. Thank you. Good night.
Another good meeting, praise God, we had forum.
Yeah, no, I know.
Jeez, I was like, oh, I saw everyone was like, where is everybody? Because Tracy didn't say she wasn't coming.
Well, she got stuck, but she said she's gonna really make a big effort to like revamp her schedule. She emailed me and.
Oh, she's still like working in South Denver or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, she started a bigger commute, so.
That was good.
At least we got all that.
Allison's done, her day is